The program, Franklin Ebuka will be taking the wheel of this very program any moment from now. We want to just let you know that the program Polity will still be what it is and will still hold as usual. You don't have the need to go anywhere. To your Honorable Speaker, Dr. Tony Olisa Mbeki. Remember, Polity takes listeners beyond the headlines, probing into how government actions and political developments impact everyday citizens. From local government administration to national policy debates, from election trends to constitutional matters, the Polity provides balanced insights, diverse perspectives, and the voices of stakeholders. It is a program that will expect the intelligence of its audience while challenging them to think critically about leadership, accountability, and the democratic process. In the Polity, politics is not distant. It is relevant, relatable, and responsive to the people's concerns. And this is where civic engagement makes informed discourse, ensuring that in the business of governance, the people remain at the center of the conversation. So on today, Polity, I believe we'll be taking a quite dive on different national developments, but then I believe you'll get to hear more about that by the time the team sets up its business for the day. But I must let you know what happened in Canada, what happened in other parts of the country, what is to also happen tomorrow in some parts of the country, and this is Polity.
Okay, so thank you, Tony. Our apologies for beginning this very program behind schedule. And the is no FMLA, but all the same, we are here and we're ready for today's conversation on the radio program that looks at current affairs and topical issues in the country. It's Friday edition, this very 15th of August 2025, and we are glad to have you join us today. And of course, my name is Franklin and Chisom. Of course, you have heard the voice of Tony, and we are going to just go straight to the headlines we have in various newspapers. And as usual, we have 4 newspapers today, and we are going to start with the headlines on Vanguard newspaper. Let's see what the paper is saying today. Now, the first headline we have on Vanguard says, special report, how modern life is rendering men infertile. See page 14 of the Vanguard newspaper. It had so many riders, but they are not too legible. So let's go to the picture story here. You see the story of Tinubu and the Okonjo-Iweala on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. It says Tinubu receives Okonjo-Iweala. Then when you now go to the headline, it says economy now stable under Tinubu Okonjo-Iweala. She's the one saying so. The story is on page 9 of Vanguard newspaper. Then above the nameplate, you will see headlines like Ibon Air Fracker, airline operators lift live ban on Emanson. It's on page 7. NLC issues 7-day strike notice over pension, NSITF funds. The story is on page 8. NLC is kicking, saying that federal government has been withdrawing some amount of money from this very fund, and for them, it is not comfortable. And then by-elections tension as INEC delivers sensitive materials. The story is on page 22. So where are the tensions coming from? Is it as a result of what political parties are saying about the election? And then another headline says states have received 7.1 trillion naira under current administration. Edun is on page 19 of the Vanguard newspaper. Rivers LG polls, Russia gets voter register. Insist on August 30 date. The story is on page 12. Don't forget that stakeholders in River State have been calling for the postponement of that very election, saying that it's going to be illegitimate if it's conducted by the sole administrator. But Russia is hell-bent on going ahead with that very date. Mark to Nigerians, give ADC a chance to prove worth. The story is on page 8 of Vanguard newspaper. Democracy don't undermine opposition parties. SMBLF cautions APC INEC. The story is on page 5 of a Vanguard newspaper. Then another one here says Boko Haram US okays $346 million arms sale to Nigeria. Quite interesting. One is on page 8. On the sports column, you see story like a FIBA World Ranking. The Tigers move up 3 steps, now top 10. That's quite interesting. You know, they did interesting things in the last Afro basketball that they played, where they made Nigeria proud, and they were received by Mr. President, and they also got their own cash reward. It's quite an interesting one. There's another headline on Vanguard says labeling Nigerian political parties as terror groups unjustified. PDP slams Canada. I don't know if you saw that very story yesterday, where a judgment in Canadian court, ruled that APC and PDP are terrorist organizations, and there have been quite a number of reactions to that. Then over to the Punch newspaper, we have the banner headline says pension fund strike countdown begins as Pencon Labour disagree. The story is on page 21. It has a rider Pencon react NSITF silent as Labour issues 7-day strike notice over alleged 40% pension fund diversion. Okay, then beside the nameplate of Punch newspaper, we have this one that says Okonjo-Iweala's positive outlook on economy sparks political debate. Who and who are raising the debate is in the story. It's on page 2 of a Punch newspaper. Above the nameplate, FG settles 2 trillion naira contractor bills, plans 2025 capital budget spending. The story is on page 22 of the Punch newspaper. Government eyes $4.5 billion oil production savings. It's on page 21. Tambuwa fights back over 189 billion naira EFCC probe. The story is on page 7. An interesting one. Then the picture story on the front page of the Punch newspaper is about the PDP, and it has a headline that says PDP inaugurates 44 member zoning committee demands Wike's total loyalty. Would that happen? Time is going to tell. Then another headline says sting operation EFCC denies targeting of Obasanjo, arraigns suspect today. Check the story on page 7. Police crush armed robber operating from Lagos refuse dump. The story is on page 5. And then the last headline on this very paper says by elections INEC deploys poll materials as parties end campaigns. The story is on page 30 of the Punch newspaper. Okay, so let's go over to the Gather newspaper, and we have the headline here. It says parties jostle for 16 seats as crucial by-elections set stage for 2027. Check the story on page 6 of the Gather newspaper. NLC to picket NSITF Pencon over alleged diversion of funds. The story is on page 5 of the Gather newspaper. And other stories here. Political parties to boycott reverse local government elections is on page 29. Prison overcrowding, FG tax public philanthropies on inmate decongestion. That's a story on page 30 of Gather newspaper. Then economy now stable under Tinubu says Okonjo-Iweala. Check the story on page 3. FG budget fresh 3.8 trillion naira for third mainland bridge repairs. It's on page 3. I think yesterday the Minister of Works, he spoke about this. And then another headline we can see on the front page of Guardian newspaper says insecurity cost Nigeria 717 trillion naira, wipes out 40% of livestock, report states. Check page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. And we go over to another headline that says 2027 PDP chair harps on party loyalty as Tambuwal tips ADC to defeat Tinubu. Is on page 6, and there was a working party for Tambuwal after he was released by the EFCC. And so when he was being received, he addressed his people, and that was where he spoke, said that he was being witch hunted for daring to join ADC to dislodge the government of the day. Then we have another headline that says Mba Commission's transport facilities Lord Tinubu for subsidy removal. Is on page 29. If you check the internet, it's littered with stories and the pictures coming from that very inauguration yesterday. And this one says military partners REA to power key facilities with solar. That's on page 30 of Guardian newspaper. We're going to see the headlines on this day before we begin our conversation. Okay, so to the headlines on this day newspaper, you will see the banner headline says Mba inaugurates 5 ultra-modern transport terminals, 100 mass transit CNG buses, and it has riders target 20,000 jobs, set to introduce 2,000 city taxis. Planet Project MD, this is unprecedented. Governor Host Idris says oil subsidy removal freed up resources for infrastructure. Check page 8 of this day newspaper. And this headline says Okonjo-Iweala visit Tinubu, Lord President for stabilizing economy, and it has plenty riders there. One of them says reforms in right direction, urges FG to implement social safety net to cushion effect of reforms on the poor. And then this one says at launch of $50 billion swing exports in digital economy fund. Okay, then another headline says Kaduna government Nasir El-Rufai is frustrated, sinking, wants to drag others along. Okay, that's a very tough one. And then you can also see a picture story of what happened in Enugu. You can see Governor Mba and others who was seated in one of the buses that he imported for this very mass transit. So these are the headlines we have on this very paper, and next is going to be our conversations on this. Stay with us.
You're listening to The Polity. Get involved now.
Okay, thank you once more for staying tuned to The Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. It's now 9:38 a.m. and we are going to begin our conversation this very morning. My name is Franklin Ebuka and Dr. Olisa Mbeki is on the analysis desk. And let's get to right. So, Tony, we'll begin with the main story, which is captured by all the newspapers who have this very morning. And ever since she made that very statement, we have seen different reactions coming from different quarters. And it has sparked some debate. And this very debate has been along, party lines based on what someone believes in or what someone doesn't believe in. And guess what? Some persons who are on the periphery have been roped into this very conversation because of what Okonjo-Iweala said. So in the course of this very analysis, we are going to bring all this up so that we put all of them into perspective. What am I talking about? Yesterday, the DG of World Trade Center, or rather World Trade Organization, WTO, I'm talking about Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. She praised President Bola Tinubu's economic reforms for stabilizing Nigeria's economy despite the widespread hardship. And she called on the government of the day to focus next on growth and protecting vulnerable citizens. Mr. Konji-Iweala, a former Nigeria finance minister, she said this on Thursday while speaking to journalists after her meeting with President Bola Tinubu. A snippet of what she said, which I'm going to read it now. Let's see if we can just get a voice so that we hear from her directly, other than trying to paraphrase what she said. And I think while we try to get that ready, of course, part of what she said is this. She said, you cannot really improve an economy unless it's stable. So he has to be given the credit for the stability of the economy. So the reforms have been the right direction. And what is needed next is growth. This is what she said. And like I said, that we have seen different reactions from these very quarters. And the questions have been if actually the government of the day has been able to stabilize the economy, or whether Okonjo-Iweala, spoke under the influence of politics, because you can't go to somebody's house and maybe speak ill about that very person. So, Tony, let's begin from there. If you think that what Dr. Okonjo-Iweala said yesterday was based on fact, or whether she spoke out of the influence of where she was then, that's what I want us to find out from this very morning.
Reforms at the initial stage of his administration, and now it's the WTO's perception
economy, and you cannot really improve an economy unless it's stable. So he has to be given the credit for the stability of the economy. So the reforms have been in the right direction. What is needed next is growth. We now need to grow the economy, and we need to put in social safety nets so that people who are feeling the pinch of the reforms can also have some support to be able to weather the hardship. So that's the next step. How do we build social safety net to help Nigerians cushion the hardship they're feeling? And then how do we grow the economy so we can create more jobs and put more money in people's pockets? These are issues that we discussed with Mr. President.
Okay, so we just heard from the horse's mouth the exact thing that she said that has sparked this very reaction. So, Tony, the question I asked is she spoke to fact, or she spoke to be politically correct?
I think my own is I always like to be on the side of fact, on the side of law, and what is obtainable. One thing I understand is that we don't need to join the bandwagon. For me, she said that the economy is stable, and we need to look inwards to find out if truly the economy is stable or not, and what constitutes a stable economy. If we're able to pick out these things, now we'll now conclude if what she said was correct, or she sound politically correct or not. Now, going back to what Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, I have seen so many social media comments. So many people are saying, I'm disappointed in this woman. Why would this woman make this comment? Why would she say this? Why would she say that? And my problem with our people is being unable to learn. I've always had this problem. Our people love this bandwagon effect. They don't like the truth. Once they like you, they like you. Once they hate you, they hate you. So whoever that is hated, anything positive coming out from the person will be dismissed. I don't join such bandwagon movement. Now, before I make my statement based on what she said, whether it's correct or not, I have to really extrapolate if truly the economy is stable or not stable. Now, when you talk about whether economy is stable or not stable, there are things, there are components that you are looking at for. There are components that one will look out for. And that is why this program is very important, because it teaches. This program teaches a lot for those who want to learn, not based on their primordial sentiment. It's not about sentiment, it's not about emotion, it's not about learning. And when we talk about stable economy, what are those ingredients? One, there will be consistent GDP growth. GDP will be on steady rise. That is one of the signs that shows that economy is somehow stable. And there will be low and predictable inflation. Not that inflation will not be there. It will be low and will be predictable. There will be balanced external account. When we talk about balanced external account, we mean balance of trade and balance of payment stability. What is balance of trade? What is balance of payments? When we talk about balance of payment, we talk about the transactions between the country and the entire rest of the world. That is what is called balance of payment. If you have not heard it before, know it today. Balance of payment is the transactions between a country and the rest of the world. If it is in surplus, it is also one of the components that show that the economy is stable. If it is in deficit, it means that the economy is not stable. Surplus in the sense that what you are able to give to the world is larger than what you are able to receive. But balance of trade is also a subset of balance of payment. Balance of trade has to do with the export of goods and services to the rest of the world and the imports of goods and services from the rest of the world. So you look at the one you exported and the one you imported. Is it positive? Is it negative? That is what we call, if you put these two together, you call it balanced external accounts. And we also talk about sound fiscal management. There will be sustainable deficit and also efficient spending. And we also talk about monetary credibility. Well managed money supply and interest rate. I don't want to go into the MPR and the issue of monetary policy rate, cash reserve ratio, liquidity ratio. I don't want to go into deep those things, but the cap of it all is the issue of monetary credibility. You also talk about financial sector health. Our financial sector, how healthy the sector is also important. You also talk about social resilience. That is the ability to absorb shocks, especially by protecting living standard, what we call the social intervention programs, and at the same time the safety nets. But if you look at all these components that I have mentioned that either show if the economy is stable or not, there are ones that are lacking in all of these things I mentioned. I think I mentioned about 7 things. You can quite agree with me that about the present government has met about 5 or thereabout, and then they have not met about 2. So when these 2 are not met, especially the last one, the issue of social resilience, the social safety programs and social intervention programs, would you also say the economy is stable? The answer is, you can say the economy may not really be stable, but fragile stability. That's what they call fragility. When something is shaky, it tries to be stable, but it's shaking. That is the best way I can describe our economy. Reason being that we know that the citizens have not felt this impact, and it's one of the things the DG of the World Trade Center added in her statement. She said that the government needs to make the people to have the feeling. But for the fact that government has done that in many ways, and those ways that have done it is not impactful. I'm aware that the government restarted conditional cash transfer program. In fact, in early 2024, Nigeria under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu resumed direct cash transfer to approximately 12 million vulnerable households with 25,000 naira per household monthly for 3 months, covering an estimated 60 million individuals. The question is, what can 25,000 naira do for a household? a household that has mama, papa, and many pikins. For me, it is not impactful. And I'm also aware that that's what we call World Bank backed cash transfer. There was a loan from the World Bank, about 2.25 billion naira loan, included in an 800,000 million cash transfer component. In fact, it was aimed to inspire support from 3 million to 50 million households, potentially adding up to about 70 million Nigerians. But I've always said, just like I said earlier on, what can 25,000 naira do for a household? I'm also aware that there was a time the government suspended issue of National Social Investment Program, the Empower, the CCT, so many of them, and even homegrown school feeding. These things were suspended, but I'm aware that they have been reactivated. In fact, even in January 2025, the president approved about 32.7 billion naira in social investment funds distributed as non-collateral interest-free loans for cooperatives, and these loans range from 300,000 to 400,000 per individual in cooperative groups. Many Nigerians are not even aware of this. Some will tell you that it has gone back to those who are piloting these things, that those who are piloting these things are those who are benefiting. So without any meaningful impact, I'm also aware that as part of 200 billion naira MSME credit program, the administration dispensed about 50,000 naira grant to 1 million small businesses aiming to spur grassroots entrepreneurship. Now the question is, what can 50,000 naira do for businesses? Even if one in akara, you ask her to add 50,000 naira to her akara business, by the time she buys firewood, by the time she buys so many other things that she will use for such business, it means nothing. So I'm also aware of palliatives and food security measures. In fact, I'm also aware, because our own is to say the truth. I don't join bandwagon effect. If this person is hated, whatever he does is also hated. I don't do that. For those I keep disappointing for speaking the truth, I will keep disappointing them. I'm also aware that the present administration released about 42,000 metric tons of grains to vulnerable citizens. The question is, how was this grains distributed? How did they measure those who are vulnerable and those who are not vulnerable? How did they come about with the stats, that is their statistics, with which they use to measure these things? The answer is, these things are not reliable. Under the renewed hope agenda, championed by the first lady, we see her distributing 1 billion naira to so many people. In fact, she has Renewed Hope Foundation. I'm aware that she has provided tens of billions of naira in humanitarian support across northern states, even in area of scholarship, entrepreneurship, aid and support for widows, orphans, and elderly. We saw her visit and her donation to the IDP in Benue State the other day. We saw that, and we've seen what she did in Delta State when she visited. We have also seen what she did in, I think, Osun State or thereabout when she also visited. So if you look at all this, there are so many of these programs, even the unemployed and the youth support. I'm also aware that there was a time the present administration launched a national youth unemployment benefit scheme, I'm aware, which was aimed at supporting the unemployed, underemployed, and informal sector workers. But what really came out of it, I'm not aware. Okay, I will say the one that I'm aware. But if you look at all these things, the summary is that yes, the DG of the World Trade Center said that the economy is stable. And I'm also, why she mentioned that was because our GDP has grown consistently. In fact, in the last quarter of 2024, we had a GDP growth of about 4.something%. That was the highest in the last.
So you're saying decades. That she spoke to fact?
No, she somehow, not entirely. I have to be objective here. And I have mentioned, yes, she based her judgment based on the growth of GDP, essentially. But I have have itemized other components. When the citizens are not feeling the impact of all these things, yes, our external reserve has also grown. We have had GDP growth. In fact, I was about to say that the last quarter of 2024 was about 4.something% GDP growth, but the citizens are not feeling these things as a result of the social intervention programs or social safety nets that the government is expected to throw out to cushion the effect of fuel subsidy removal. So that hasn't been done. So you wouldn't say strict to sensu we have a stable economy. We can say we have a fragile stable economy. That's the way I put it.
Okay, so if you look at the statistics, of course, they are all in the positive, because ever since the government announced the removal of petrol subsidy and then harmonized the exchange rates, people have been saying that, of course, the macroeconomic indices are looking the positive, and they've been saying that too, that the government has been able to address central bank financing of budget and other things, budget deficit and other things, and it's looking like the future could be good if we can endure the hardship of today and then enjoy tomorrow. Just like you said, one now wonders why we have this very disparity between what the facts are saying or what statistics is saying and then what people are feeling. So what is the responsible for that very gulf between what we have as fact or what we have as on paper and what people are feeling, the reality before them now?
I think the reason between this gap you mentioned is as a result of, one, lack of coordination, corruption, and at the same time proper planning. We have said here many times we don't have the data to ensure that these programs work very well. In fact, in Europe, some of these programs are used to cushion certain government policies. But you have population here. Our population, I don't think there's any country in Europe that equals our population. There's no country in Europe that equals our population. So they have a largely smaller populations. There are those that also have population ranging in the area of 60 million, 80 million people or thereabouts. But we've got over 230 million. Some people are saying that we are about 250. So if you look at that, you find that we have a large population, and many Nigerians are still hungry. Many Nigerians are still unemployed. Many households are suffering. You can have all these stats or indices and you say the economy is very stable. Nah, we have to be balanced when it comes to stats. Yes, we have seen certain improvements, but the present administration has not been able to cushion the effect of these triple front policies: subsidy removal, the issue of a flotation or the devaluation of naira, and trying to bridge the gap or trying to ensure that there is no arbitrage in our exchange. We are talking about our foreign exchange. So if you look at all these things, it has very resounding impact on average Nigerian. Yes, and they have been suffering from this. Yesterday, let me say this, because I was also noted, you must state the obvious. Whether you like the truth or not, that's for your business. Prices of commodities in the market are coming down slowly. I'm also aware that
can we say it's as a result of economic policies or because we are in the harvest season?
Whichever way, there are some agricultural products that are seasonal. So when their prices drop, we can best attribute the reason for the price drop as because they are now plenty. Yes, but there are ones that are not seasonal. So when the prices drop, we can also attribute it that it could be as a result of the economic policies of the government. So we must be balanced. I'm also aware that even the price of rice is coming down. A vendor confided in me yesterday, not 2 days ago, not 3 days ago, that the price is steadily coming down. So a vendor, somebody who is a distributor of, I don't want to mention the brand so that we are not promoting anybody. So, but these things are not so affordable to many Nigerians. As even if the prices are dropping bit by bit, many Nigerians cannot afford it. Many.
And another one is what is even the value of the money you have in your hands?
That is the point. The purchasing power. That is, money it is what it can buy. These things have been eroded. So when you can not buy some of these things, even when they are coming down, it tells you that there's so much work undone. So it will be quick to say that the economy is stable. It will be very quick.
All right, so go to our Facebook page, Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Get to join this very live video. You can drop your comment on that very page. We are going to acknowledge your post at the right time. We're not done with it because the former minister made two statements in twofold. Second one is that she talked about the need for us to have social safety nets that can help Nigerians to cushion this very effect of the reforms that the government of the day brought about. And we know that why the government of the day has been criticized so much was the way he went about removing petrol subsidy. There was no plan. It was just, at the spur of the moment. The day he was being inaugurated, he made an announcement that it was being removed. And next thing, there was this harmonization of the exchange rates, and all of them combined. We saw hardship, troubling the country. And if you are going to bring in some other persons who have spoken about this, they will tell you that it's all about the manner we went about. That if we had planned very well and they put in place some social safety measures, that the effect wouldn't be this very way. Now, for the former minister who is non-advocating for social safety net, and already we know that in this very country we have one already, which has been dogged with so many controversies. In fact, Otagisi, former minister, who was accused of one allegation or the other because of how money was handled. So now we have this National Social Investment Program, which encompasses the Empower. Then you talk about the conditional cash transfer. Then you talk about the government enterprise and empowerment program, the one we know as JIP. There's also homegrown school feeding program. These are the major components of these. And at a point in time, like you highlighted, they were paused because of certain uncertainties about the way they have been handled. If this is not working, so what kind of any other social safety net should we be asking from the government? Should we talk about transport, education, and health subsidy? Can we talk in this very direction?
Yes, we can talk in that direction. Just like I mentioned earlier on, some of these social intervention programs by the present administration, not just poorly handled, but these things based on our peculiarities are doomed, and they may not have any lifeline in it. So, or in them, as many as they may be. When we talk about conditional cash transfer, we've seen 25,000 naira given to households. What? And I asked a question: what would 25,000 naira do for a household in a month?
They will even tell you that they improved it from what it was under the past government.
The point remains that how do you measure those poor households? What metric? What stat? How do you identify them? Or you tell the local government chairman to go identify 25 or poor households, they will bring names. They will even give you the names of their supporters. So how do you go about that? It's a problem. I have said so. If you are talking about conditional cash transfer, for me, I will suggest that if you are to give direct payments to low-income households, there could maybe you have conditional and you also have unconditional. On the area of unconditional, it will go straight to elderly, disabled people. And for the fact that we have not got a matrix to come up with people that are poor, we can tie it to certain conditions that one will like to see their children's school attendance. If you want to know everything about a family from the child, it speaks volume of the family. If you look at the child, you see how the child is malnutrition and so many other. And one will say, what about those who do not have family? See, there are ways we can come about some of these things, starting from school, starting from hospitals. If you want to know people that are poor, go to hospital. You see many of them that are lying there. See, there are ways government can collect these data even when these data are not readily available, as against the political jobbers parading list and say these lists are lists of vulnerable Nigerians, poor households, and this money will go into their pocket, and you think you are doing something for the country. It is not getting to these people directly. So I can go on and give you quite a lot of suggestion, even the unemployment benefit. We can devise means to find out those who are truly unemployed. We're not talking about unemployment.
Okay, so Tony, this statement that the former minister made yesterday, we can say that there's a follow-up from it, because we have seen some reactions coming out like a stray bullet aimed at former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi. And I'm going to just reference a couple of some of the reactions we have seen so far.
Okay.
If you go to the Facebook page of Reno Mark, even his Twitter handle, you see what he wrote. He said, if people who graduated with a first class in economics and studied up to PhD level, like Dr. Ngozo Konji-Iweala and Professor Charles Soludo, are praising President Bola Tinubu's handling of the economy, and a common petty trader like Peter Obi, whose highest educational qualification is a second class in philosophy, is condemning the president's economic policies, who should you believe? That's Reno. Now, there's another comment that was made by Mazi Ijimofopara, who happens to be an aide to the governor and the spokesperson of ABGA. He says, real economists are visiting and passing favorable comments, but Association of Displaced Creatures, ADC, who labored in vain, are still chattering online. Then there's one other person, Okeke Godwin, who supports APC. He says, when a development economist, Okonji-Iweala, and a monetary expert like Charles Soludo are talking, you avoid any advice from any madman at a worker.
These are political statements, so I wouldn't want to get myself involved. Those statements are political. They have political leaning. So we are speaking to facts. I'm here to speak to facts. I'm not here to join political divisions.
So why
these are political statements.
Why is it that whatever that happens in the country now, that has any kind of political linkage, there's always this link to former Anambra governor?
I think he belongs to the constituency of the social programs. Definitely, we know very well he is the voice of the opposition, and the opposition will always voice their concern. And the work of opposition is also to keep the government on its toes. So we must allow opposition voices. There's no doubt. But one only thing I have suspected about the former governor of Anambra State is there has never been anything positive he speaks about the government. His concentration has always been on the bad ones. But it's expected because he's in opposition. That's the political leaning. But our own is to speak to the fact. So even if government does anything right, you don't expect him to praise government. He cannot. Because for him, he's in opposition. And if government does anything wrong, he will concentrate more on that because he's in opposition. That is the political leaning. And those people you've mentioned now, that says, yes, world economic expert and all that. It's not about being world economic expert. It's not about the common man. The common man in the streets. Households. How they're faring. If people are still suffering, any economic indices you parade means nothing. Once the suffering continues, until the sufferings are mitigated. If you're telling people we have a GDP, how many Nigerians know what is GDP? How many Nigerians know what is balance of trade? How many Nigerians know what is balance of payment? They don't know those things. There is this saying when we are growing up, when a Catholic priest speaks so much of Latin, you wait for him at where? Because he will still land. And that is where you are waiting. If he says, secula seculorum, what do? You wait at that point, and that amen summarizes it all. Because if that secula seculorum does not in any way shows good tidings, there is a way you hear the amen will not be loud. So the point I'm trying to make is this: all these statements, yes, they have political undercurrent. There's no doubt. Even those of us who are listening, I've said it many times that once you are hated, you are hated. Yesterday, we saw Mba praising President Bola Tinubu, saying that his economic policies and I keep saying, if it is the governor of Anambra State that made that statement to Mba made, you will see attack. Okay. If sometimes that is just the way we are built.
Now you have mentioned Mba because we are going to cross over to what happened in Enugu State.
Okay.
And then the comparison that you try to bring into, because it will surely come in here because that has been made already. So you're talking about the headline that says Mba inaugurates 5 ultra-modern transport terminals, 100 mass transit CNG buses. And this very story said that in a major move revolutionizing transportation in Enugu State, Governor Peter Mba yesterday inaugurated 5 ultra-modern transport terminals in various parts of the state, in line with his integrated blueprint for a modern and multimodal transport ecosystem. Mba also launched 100 out of the 200 compressed natural gas CNG mass transit buses acquired by the administration, the Enugu State modern transport system, as well as over 80 modern bus shelters constructed across the state. And the terminals the governor visited and personally commissioned were Holy Ghost Terminal 1. And for this one, I can confirm I have gone to see this one, which is at Enugu Central Station 1, which has been designated for interstate transport. Then there's one Holy Ghost Terminal 2, Enugu Central Station 2, for intercity transportation. Then there is Nsoka Terminal, which is known as Nsoka Central Station, Ababa Nike Terminal, known as Ababa Central Station, and the Gariki Terminal, known as Gariki Central Station. Now, look at some of the features of these very terminals. Some of them have food courts, banking halls, motels, shops, CNG refilling stations, cinemas, and expansive spaces capable of taking 500 buses. And then the one known as Holy Ghost Terminal 1 and 2, they are said to be connected to a 400-meter long sky bridge, which is said to be the longest in Nigeria. And the buses have free Wi-Fi and the security equipment. These are the things that have been, procured in Enugu State so far in respect to that. And since that happened, just like he mentioned, Mba, when he was making his speech, he said that all these things are made possible because the states now have more money to spend thanks to the removal of petrol subsidy, which was made possible by Mr. President. And we have seen reactions. Now, we begin with what is happening in Enugu State. People are saying that Enugu is witnessing an uncommon modernization on Namba, whom nobody even gave chance during the electioneering. But he eventually became the winner. And ever since he came up, he's talking about how he wants to grow the economy of Enugu State to make it destination and what have you not. And they're saying that what is being seen in the state is what is being professed. Do you agree?
Let me begin. Most times, why I love people who listen to us is that if you listen dispassionately, you will learn. Mba has done well. We give him credit. But also note that in October 2023, the Enugu State House of Assembly approved his loan request of about 170 billion naira, which was intended to fund infrastructure development and other capital projects across the state. So he has taken a loan of about 170 billion naira. And then I'm also aware that the loan, if you break it down, about 100 billion from bank guarantee line, about 10 billion, and also overdraft facility, and about 50 billion credit facility. I don't want to call the banks. I have the details of the banks. But just have it in mind that about 170 billion naira loan. And then I'm also aware that, just like you mentioned, he inaugurated 5 ultra-modern bus terminals. Yes, 5. One at Holy Ghost, which he named or called Interstate and Intercity. One at Nsoka, one at Ababa, and also one at Gariki. These are the 5 places. So I'm thinking the amount or the cost of these projects, I may want to brief you, but many Nigerians may not be interested in the cost. But I'm also aware that over 47 billion or thereabouts was expended in some of these projects. That's the estimate anyway. And then it could be part of the loan given to him. And they found that the need to bridge that transportation deficit in the state. Remember, I stayed in Enugu State for a very long time when I was doing my programs in University of Nigeria. Yes. So I understand these places very well. And knowing very well that he saw that as a need. For me, 100 CNG buses. If you want to move from Enugu Holy Ghost to Nsoka, you may not need to bought any of these buses, definitely through the bus terminal, or for me, I would have loved to call it land ports, or these land ports. That's what I would have called it anyway. But he chose to call them bus terminals. Give it to him. But he has designed this to, ensure that civil servants, poor households, don't spend much on transportation. I would have loved a situation where you would also announce that for this bus transportation, I know it's not free. The price involved, people will jubilate more. If it is going to cost 1,000 naira for you to move from Enugu to Nsukka, if it's going to cost 500 naira, let people be aware of some of these things.
But is it not obvious that that's going to happen? Because
no,
if the vehicles are powered by CNG, which is cheaper, comparatively to diesel and petrol, so that means that the fare could be cheaper.
That we are assuming, but I'm just saying he would have made announcement. He would have announced it. But for the fact he hasn't announced it, it does not rub anything off from him. I'm just trying to tell you my personal suggestions, my personal opinions. Fine and good. Remember these things. How are they going to be sustained in the next 5 years? These CNG buses, these bus terminals, are we going to see them the way they are? He didn't also let us know the sustenance package for this, but that is by the way. But for me, I had thought that a rail system, but for these things are temporal. A rail system would have been the best. But in the meantime, maybe he has such thoughts. He may be coming up with such thoughts. Nobody knows.
But rail is going to be interstate, or is it going to be intrastate?
I'm talking about intrastate, not interstate. When you talk about intra, you are talking about. I'm just trying to explain so that those who are listening will understand. When we talk about intra, we mean within the state.
What I'm saying is
between states.
You're talking about rail. So the rail you are talking about, are you talking about rail that can be used for intrastate or interstate transportation?
I'm talking about intra.
All right, go on.
That's where intra has to do with within the states. Like you have rail connectivity, Gariki, Ababa, Holy Ghost, and even Nsukka, as we've mentioned. You have train ports. So that would have been a kind of permanent solutions. We have seen buses.
But we do see that train is normally used for interstate. In most places we have
go to Lagos. Go to Lagos. Lagos has intrastate.
Yeah, Lagos has. I said in most places
that's what we have been looking. Train transportation is far cheaper. If train transportation was implemented, you use about 200 naira. 200 to move from Holy Ghost to Nsukka. 200. Sometimes it may be 150 naira presently. Or there could be times you may even use 100 naira to move from these two places, and then the issue of safety becomes something very, very also protected. So the point I'm trying to make is these buses, he has done well. I'm going to also praise him, no doubt. But we also have to also understand that he has taken a loan of about 170 billion, and from that he has invested in those areas. That is one. I'm also aware that Federal Executive Council yesterday approved a loan for Abia State, and that loan approved for Abia State, a loan of how much? I think a loan of about $125 million. I'm just trying to be very sure about this loan. And the interesting thing, it was something circulated on social media, and many people did not have mouth to talk. That loan of about $125 million from Islamic Development Bank. That's the bank. Yes, I'm correct. $125 million from Islamic Development Bank. Federal Executive Council approved that loan for Abia State. And many people had thought that we talk. Their tongues went inside. And I said one thing. If this were to be in Anambra State, tongues will wag. You look out for where you can get loan. Islamic Development Bank. But Federal Executive, Abia State applied for it. Federal Executive Council approved $125 million loan for Abia State. And then Enugu State has got their own $147 billion. See, billion naira. The point is, I don't like these unnecessary comparisons. But here in Anambra State, we are told the governor has not borrowed 1 naira. He hasn't borrowed from anybody. So what it means that all the money, all these projects you are seeing, no matter how you praise them or you hate them, has always been from what he was able to generate. And some will say that, do you know, I've had an argument with somebody. We went into research. We are talking about the fake allocation and then the internally generated revenue. Yes, Enugu State has higher internally generated revenue than Anambra State, but Anambra State is gearing up. The gap is not too much, and it was something somebody put me into a deep research. I'm talking about scholarly research, not all these Biafra law arguments or Biafra law banter. I'm talking about scholarly research, and we did the paper presentations and we did certain comparison, and the person said, "Oh, you are right." So the point I'm trying to make this: if things happen, let's understand the undercurrent. You must praise him because he has seen the need to solve transportation problem of his people on the temporary basis. For me, this is a temporary.
All right. So you have brought in this very comparison that we have seen on social media, because already from what happened in Enugu State yesterday, there's been this comparison between Anambra State government.
You see it?
I
never knew about it.
And let me even tell you, like one person wrote. Let me quickly.
Please quote.
Let me quickly dash to what one person wrote. And one person wrote. He said, "Why governor builds bus terminal in capital, Anambra builds motor park in her own capital." Somebody wrote this.
See it?
Then look at the second one here, which we can quickly go to before we now talk about other things. This one says, "This is coming 1 month after the launching of Enugu Air. This project will make transportation in Enugu smarter, safer, cheaper, and cleaner, thereby reducing traffic, cutting costs, and protecting the environment. The governor did not name it in Bar Terminal on bar buses like we see in Anambra, where the governor is naming everything after himself." Okay, so these are some of the reactions I've seen so far on this social media. Now, you talked about Mba taking loan. Yes, undeniably, it's there, it's out there. But Mba also improved the IGR of Enugu State. Because IGR that moved from about 30-something billion to about 140-something billion between 2003 and 2004. That's quite remarkable, we'd say. But let's look at what Mba is projecting, because he's saying that these very terminals he have built, they will have a way of reflating the economy of Enugu State. He said about 20,000 jobs are going to be created, and it's like the foundation of what he wants to do in Enugu. Is he exaggerating, or there is potential in bus terminals like this in growing the economy?
Transportation, you cannot underestimate the issue of transportation. Why cost of products, goods and services are high is as a result of high cost of transportation. If you solve transportation problem, definitely you are going to bring down the prices of goods and services. I think he's looking in that direction. I'm aware that in Anambra State is planning intrastate rail connectivity. That's what Anambra State is coming. I think I was privileged to have spoken to the special advisor to the governor on special duty, Professor Ebuka Franklin. He was here during one of our programs on Crossfire. He was able to show me not just the works they have done so far. The only thing that is remaining is implementation. So bad things, bus terminal, we give him what he wants. Here in Anambra State, the governor thinks rail. We give different stroke for different people. You praise them for whatever initiative they have got, but people sometimes don't understand certain undercurrents. And I'm not trying to say that one is doing much more than that. No, I'm just trying to give you every fact. The point remains.
Can you say that the crop of governors we have in the southeast now, that they are closer, or they are close to the leaders of the southeast we had when we had regional government? Because people are trying to see what they are doing and saying it appears they want to reinvent the southeast.
Definitely. I'm going to talk about three. The governor of Anambra State is doing exceedingly well. Governor of Abia State is doing well. Governor of Enugu State, he's doing well. These three governors, give them their flowers. They are doing well. It's not about hate, it's not about love. They are doing well. Why Abia State is because they have not seen things like this before. Not that Abia State is doing wonders. They are coming out from darkness. And that is why probably the governor is well celebrated because they're coming out from darkness. But we have seen his economic missteps as well. But these things will not be highlighted because somebody who's bringing it out from darkness to light, you always praise him. Just like I've said earlier on, $125 million was approved yesterday by the Federal Economic Council from Islamic Development Bank on some of the investment or maybe infrastructural project he wants to undertake. Mba has taken about, just like I said, such loan and he's putting it there. But my concern is here, one of them, there are just three. I'll call them the three musketeers or the three wise men. One hasn't taken loan and has done more roads than these two governors. But I can't bring the Abia State Company because they didn't start the same time. I cannot bring Enugu because they didn't start. He started, I think, about 9 or 10 months ahead of them. But he has asphalted more roads, more than these two governors. We are talking about facts. Whether you like it or you don't like it. And he has started his urban regeneration plan. Onitsha 2.0. And then Oka 2.0. So it's not about hate, it's not about what he talks or the way he talks. We are speaking to facts. But the fact remains that the House of Assembly approved a loan for him, 100 billion. He decided not to take them. So these three governors have also improved their IGR, not only Mba. LSOT has improved his IGR.
I think the number is only like 4 billion in a month from 2.1.
Much more than that. From what was posted,
I think as of May, 4 billion.
Much more than that from the last that was posted. So the point I'm trying to make here is this: if you go to people, I know Ogige Market. I know the plans from Bamba is rebuilding ultra modern Ogige Market. In fact, I have been to that market. I have bought a lot of things from the market when I was in UNN. If you tell traders at Ogige Market pay much more than what traders at main market are paying. Yes, in terms of IGR. Somebody say traders at Ogige Market, but you know here they will shout all over it. I have made such comparison. See, but the point remains that we must give these governors kudos. Just like you said, they are getting close to the First Republic governors we had in the Southeast. But we also we are not going to say that Nufuru and Hope are doing nothing. There's no governor that is doing nothing. But they must also speed up. There's no doubt. So the point is, there's nothing wrong in taking a loan. People will say, Tony, this one you're talking about. There is nothing wrong in taking a loan. But the most important thing, I'm also aware that the governor of Anambra State has reduced our debt from what he inherited. I think from about 77 billion naira down to about.
So what it means now, if we're going to do comparison, that should be on how these governors have been able to improve our states, how they've been able to deliver
based on what they have.
And making life better for
them. That is most important. And remember, in all of these states, it's only in Anambra State you have free education from from primary to secondary. In Abia State, from SS3.
Because I was trying to bring in the Abia, which people can use to
compare. Definitely. In Abia State, there is free education, but from SS1, there is a tuition fee, though not much. In Enugu State, there is no free education. So if you're there is no free education in Enugu State. So if you are praising Mba for bus terminals.
But this Enugu State, do you know Enugu State has been able to meet the threshold of having not less than 25% of its budget allocated to education?
Definitely. They have started the smart schools. That's not, see, what we are here to speak to facts. I must tell you about the smart school programs about Peter Mba. But if you put up these smart schools and the tuitions, many families cannot afford it. What would a smart school be for? It's only in Anambra State. You have free education from primary one. Let me begin there. Down to SS3. In Enugu, there is no free education. In Abia, there is free education. Also in Anambra State, you have free maternal.
Okay, so
if you are praising them back for the bus terminal, you can also do the praise for the free education and also free antenatal, prenatal and child delivery. Also in Anambra State.
Okay, so
we must balance all this.
Let's bring in this because we want to open the phone lines in the next 2 minutes.
Okay.
We must do it.
Yeah.
And it's about a story that came out yesterday where APC and PDP were labeled as terrorist organization by a court in Canada. And it has not been funny for APC and the PDP. This is the only thing where two of them have come together to condemn that very court judgment. And yesterday, the PDP condemned the decision of a Canadian court declaring Nigeria's two major political parties, the PDP and the APC, as terrorist organizations. The party described the claim as misinformed, biased, and lacking evidence, urging that it be dismissed outright. Now, I just want us to quickly go to what that court said yesterday, because yesterday, federal court in Canada upheld a ruling that classified Nigeria's APC and PDP as terrorist organization, while denying asylum to a former member, Douglas Heraba, over his decade-long affiliation with both parties. And in a judgment delivered on June 17, 2025, Justice Fuangongo dismissed Heraba's application for judicial review after the Immigration Appeal Division found him inadmissible under Canada's Immigration and the Refugee Protection Act. Now, according to what was reported by People's Gazette yesterday, and the Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness had argued that the APC and PDP were implicated in political violence, subversion of democracy, and electoral bloodshed in Nigeria. And the man in question, Heraba, he was a PDP member from 1999 to 2007 before he joined APC, where he remained until 2017. Then he moved to Canada in September 2017 and disclosed his political history. And then court said, we can give you asylum because the parties you belong to were involved in what has been listed. Just like I said, things like subversion of people's will.
I think there is one thing I want to point out in this. Not that Canada has officially enlisted PDP and APC as terrorist organization. No. For those who may be thinking in some direction, that is not correct. That is why you are listening to this program. Canada has countries, organizations, and whatever entity they have enlisted as terrorist organizations. They have not enlisted PDP and APC as terrorist organization. But what happened? This didn't happen in June. Anyway, we just got to know about it in the month of August. This thing happened in June. The only thing that happened was this young man you talked about, Douglas Heraba, applied for asylum, and then the immigration denied him asylum. It's also important that we point out why he was denied asylum. Why he was denied asylum was they cited section 34, subsection 1 and B1 of the country's immigration law, and also section 34, subsection 1F of the country's Immigration Act. They cited it and said you are, by the provisions of these sections, ineligible to be granted asylum. And what is the provision of this section? What are the provisions anyway? That section 34.1 and section 34B1 renders a person inadmissible for engaging in an act of subversion against a democratic government, institution, or process as they are understood in Canada. Then subsection, if you look at section 34, subsection 1F, also renders a person inadmissible for being a member of an organization that are reasonable, based on reasonable grounds, believe to have engaged in subversion of people's will. So it is important, what are those people's will? Ballot stuffing during elections, which they noted that PDP's handling of 2003 state election and 2004 logomate polls, voter intimidation tactics employed to influence electoral outcomes, killing of opposition supporters as part of politically motivated violence, and broader electoral violence and politically motivated killings supported by intelligence reports linking both parties to such acts, and failure of party leadership to take action against the violence while benefiting from it to remain in power. For me, these things cited in Canadian immigration law, are they true that these parties have been engaged or have engaged or have been engaging, whichever way, in ballot stuffing, voter intimidation, killing of opposition support? We saw what happened in Kogi State. We saw what happened in the Bayelsa State. So these things are correct. But that does not mean that Canada as a country has enlisted PDP and APC as terrorist organizations. They are saying that we cannot grant Douglas Heraba asylum because he belongs to party APC and PDP, which according to Canadian law deemed to have engaged in acts they classify as terrorism. That is what they call, and the court upheld it. Court upheld it.
Tony, like right now, we have to go to the phone lines now. We've been able to make the point on this very last issue we raised. So let's go to the phone lines and hear from people who have been listening to us. Let's see what they want to say about issues we have raised this very morning. The phone lines are 0803 221 6973 or 0803 827 6694. Don't forget that they have an average of 2 minutes for you to make your comment and drop your call. Good morning.
Good morning, Franklin.
Yes, good morning. Your name?
My name is Ogochukwu from Udi, Enugu State.
Go on, Mr. Ogochukwu.
Hello, please. I want to correct an impression. Yes. So you have to go and do your research very well concerning Enugu State free education. From primary 1 to JS3, free education in the Enugu. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you. All right. So we're
gonna come back to that.
Yes,
Just
come back to the other one. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning,
Yes.
Africa.
Yes. Good morning. Your name?
I'm Franklin. I heard all what the speaker said. That's talk. You see,
Could you tell us your name?
Remember that wanted to go to Canada, and he was refused visa. Knowing his position in Nigeria as advisor, as security advisor to the federal government, you see, all these things that Canada did on Nigeria, saying against Nigeria, is because the way the government handles his people, abusing the rule of law. A governor would, the president would just give order to throw an elected governor. All these things are telling evil on Nigeria. That's true. That's why they say that these two parties are terrorists. The fact that the Canada government said it. Yes, coming to what to say about what is happening, the development in Anambra and the other states. Our people in Anambra are they are people that always talk anyhow. They don't reason to talk because of the personal interest. You see that our governor, this day our president, they talk many mess. They talk against him. Why is the president? We have to remember that in Mbakwe, when he was the governor of Imo State, during Shekari, NPP, Mbakwe State is always in federal government president, crying. They call him a whooping governor. People did not say anything about it. And he achieved more than any governor that has governed Imo State. Go and check. So our people don't reason to talk. See how Soludo says things against his opponent contesting election here. They say he's talking to the good. They want Soludo to be enmity with the president because our brother is vying for the president. That's not the way. Politics is an interest. Because of that, if I tell you people who are too inimical to each other, but because of it, when the interests lie together, they become one and one. Guys take P2B and the P2M. Many of them. So our people don't know how to talk. They are talking as
okay. Before we let you go, what's your name, please?
My name is Ignatius Okoye from Orange Kingdom.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ignatius. Thank you for calling. Hello. Good morning.
Wonderful morning to you, Franklin, and Honorable Speaker Mbeki. Good morning.
You're welcome. It's good to have you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. I'm calling you from Onitsha.
Okay, go on.
Yes, the interpretation given by the Speaker is a good one, but I still want to say that what is the work of the terrorists, those who are terrifying lives, impoverishing, subjecting the people against their own will. So this court of competent jurisdiction in Canada have looked at APC and PDP, and some political parties in Nigeria, and they looked at them and say that these people are nothing but terrorist groups. Check out the activities of APC and PDP in Nigeria. Can you do a peaceful protest in this country? The answer is no, under APC and PDP. Can you be able to come out and criticize the government and walk the streets scot-free? Do women women have their rights in Nigeria? The answer is no, under APC and PDP. What is different from a terrorist act? They pick up keyboard girls, subject them against their own will, marry them off. Is that not exactly what these two political parties is doing in Nigeria? So I think this court needs to move a little bit step further and place a serious sanction on this country. Most of them that have their interest in Canada and US and the allied country of Canada and US need to wake up to the situation here. Look at what came out of NSAD. Look at the killing of the Shiite Muslims. Look at the killing of IPOB members. What has come out of it till date as we are talking? And you are telling me that these two political parties are not terrorist organizations? Then are they charity organizations? Are they members of a denominational church?
All right.
What can we classify it to? Now, coming to this issue of comparison between Anambra State government and the Enugu State and Abia State, even if you're collecting 1 million naira as a tax, what have you done in those markets? That is the bone of contention here. Nobody's against you generating fund or this one. What have you been able to do in those markets? Recently, we see what have played out in Headbridge or Bobu here. It has to take the intervention of very dark man. Yet we have the state government. I mean, this kind of what goes on here is so ironic and so irritating.
All right.
Not the state government, you have constituency senators that
all right, thank you, DK. So talking about terrorist organization or terrorist group, because there are criteria for the criteria that determine whether a group is a terrorist organization or not, and they are classified into legal, political, and the behavioral criteria. So if any of them meet those criteria, of course, it can be correct to say that. Hello, good morning.
Thank you.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, your name?
Monday Johnson, Honorable. Mr. Speaker, Tony Mbeki. Good morning.
You're welcome. It's good to have you.
Actually, I listened to you when you were responding to the report given by the former Minister of Economy, our rebel sister, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. And actually, I appreciate the fact, Mr. Speaker, that you further make your inquiry from one of the vendors to actually ascertain the items are reducing. But I believe that in most cases, statistics or datum should not come from a particular source. Because rice is not the only commodity we have in the market. But I'm talking to you now, I don't know how the reduction is coming. Because personally, I cannot afford a bag of rice as I'm talking to you now. Mr. Speaker, you know me too well and know my status. But I cannot afford it. So the reduction, I don't know. But the base for my argument here is this. You don't come up with just one source, or you base on that one source to actually make your datum. I don't think it's good coming that way. So I would have expected that you conduct various, research on this very statement to actually ascertain that this one has reduced, this one has reduced, and this one has reduced. Based on my knowledge, what Okonjo-Iweala, yes, is an economist, world-class economist, but she does not base in Nigeria here. Most times, the full knowledge of what is happening here, I doubt if she actually have clean and better information of how commodities are being sold in Nigeria. So based on that, I think, respectfully, I will argue with that statement, and I will also appreciate the fact that you have made inquiry, but your inquiry, Mr. Speaker, with due respect, is not comprehensive enough to actually command our belief and loyalty. Good morning.
Good morning, Johnson. Thank you for joining. So let's see who we have next on the other line. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Okay, your name?
I'm Emmanuel, calling from Onitsha.
Go on, Mr. Emmanuel.
Thank you very much. Well, anybody that is trying to give us another narration from what Canada is, I think he's getting it wrong. Let me tell you something. You are reading something from maybe from the source, right source. And He said that any terrorist that lasted more than 48 or 24 hours in the country, government knows about it. And remember that there was a time during the time of where media were found not to report everything that happened in other states. Yes, it happened in this country. And at the time, Twitter were found in this very country. When you come out to protest, the security personnel will come and kill you. And you are telling us the criteria Canada used to define terrorism with the NDC and PDP. He said that they are killing political. What are they using to kill them? Are they using them father? Are they using bishops to kill them? No. They are using terrorists. They use so many men to Karawa, to Karam, and local men. All this is happening in Nigeria. I think, yes, give us some names that people are.
Okay, hello. I think we need to have a clarification to understand where you're coming from. Are you talking about Nigeria being labeled a terrorist country, or APC and PDP being labeled as terrorist groups?
APC and the PDP is what they are labeled as terrorist organization. And they are the government from PDP.
All right.
Now, 10 years of APC.
All right, thank you. We've noted your points. Tony, by the time we're going to react, because he said there was a time the media was banned from reporting things going on in the north. We'll talk about that too. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Your name?
This is engineer calling from Oka. Tony is doing his best. Feeling all the heat from Anambra and Apuga. Sometimes they should bring the earthman also, bring the governor to let him hear reaction from the people. Not always trying to defend. As you know, I think he's Apuga. He's a senior officer in Apuga, not just Apuga member. He's a senior officer. There's no one calling on radio saying the Anambra don't know how to talk. That is a derogatory statement. You cannot force the people on your own candidate. You try to ameliorate with them. You will not call them the Anambra don't know how to talk. Unfortunately, and that's it. Then, Emmanuel on Tony, he was telling us his statement against it. He has told us sometimes that even Peter Mbai is gearing up to join APC. So should we rely on his own judgment too that the governor is gearing up to join Apoga too? So that's my take. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for joining, and we appreciate your opinion. At this point, we have to go for this very commercial break, so we ask you to stay by. We're going to be right back in a moment.
You're listening to The Polity. Get involved now.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
Quality bread, Wendy's bread, for your family breakfast. Wendy's bread, Opa Chichane Tosialo. Wendy's bread, Mama Papa they like Wendy's bread, Na Chichane Nyandu. Wendy's bread, even children they like Wendy's bread, Wendy's bread, Ninta. Wendy's bread, you get it better tasty, we go sweet your belly. Wendy's bread, Wendy's Wendy's bread, the champion.
Wendy's bread, your tasty bread. You can contact us on our official address, Second Business Park, Enugu Road, GRA, beside Onitsha, Anambra State. We also have another branch at St. Michael Plaza at Tandy Road. Also contact us on 070-1149-1571. Wendy's bread, your tasty bread.
Wendy's bread.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
You're listening to The Polity. Get involved now.
Okay, so you are listening to The Polity on that radio 104.7 FM. Of course, we are inching close to the end of this very program, but of course, we still have a couple of minutes for us to look at things before we get to wrap up. And we thank you for always being there. My name is Franklin Ebuka, and I'm with Dr. Olisa Mbeki, and two of us have been bringing this very program. So I think we have to explore what we have on our Facebook page now. Let's see the reactions. Mazin Wuri Chipadurum Usinachi says, truly the price of commodities are really coming down a little bit in the market, but that shouldn't make Mrs. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala to tell me that Nigeria economy is reviving, because many Nigerians are still in serious hardship as we speak today. Okay, so somebody likes your car, by the way, Tony. Okay, he posted from that one. All right, then we have this very one from Odnake Gona. He says, good morning. Okay. Okay, thank you for the recommendation. And then he says, if Soludo has given you job, just let us know. As he's talking to you, Mr. Tony. And he went to talk about, he wrote something about the road project that OT and Ibazu did, but there's some contradictions in what he wrote, so I won't be able to get to that message very well. And then Callistus Chibike says, can Soludo construct that railway he's talking about with the kind of cheap road he's constructing with local constructing firms? And then Ugochukwu Frank says about labeling PDP and APC as terrorist organization. This is truly sad, and the government should address it. Such actions could discourage the diaspora from returning home and contributing to the development of their home country. If joining political party leads to being labeled as terrorists, it creates a significant barrier. And then John Mbwe says, it's wrong for Mbeki to feel that people are passing vote of no confidence in okay. It's wrong for Tony to feel that people are passing vote of no confidence in him. It is not true. The fact is that on issues bordering on Anambra and Soludo, Tony is entirely partisan. And we have I got that. Okay, thank you for the observation. Then on the issues bordering on national politics, Tony is good. His loyalty to Soludo has been carried to, all right. Okay, let's leave that very one now. We have noted. Then Honora says, okay, he's asking you a question, Tony. All this free education, bus terminal, payment of workers, and all, what does it mean that the government is working and in other Senate climes? Can it be used to measure good governance? Okay, he posted from Enugu. Thank you, Honora. Then Chiade Manuel says, whenever distinguished Nigerians like Dr. Iweala and co go by political correctness, we understand, because they need strategic support from the federal government for certain engagement they are involved in. Otherwise, we all know the bitter truth as regards what Machiavellians are doing in public landscape. Okay, thanks to fiscal rascality and misplacement of our priorities. And then Norbert Ucheokoye. Thank you for your comment. I'm trying to bridge everything now because we're out of time. Thank you for your comment, Norbert. Ebunike Bonaventure, thank you for your comment. And Dr. Molebra, thank you for your comment from Owerri. Sebastian Igwe, thank you for your comment. Ugochukwu Daily, thank you. Oluchukwu Chema, thank you. Anoms Emmy, thank you. Cynthia and Kem, thank you. Also Francis Magan Naman from Enugu State, thank you. Mbechiobi Ekegonas, Chimezie Stephen, Honorable Sabo, the youngest Frayo, Ekegonas again, and then Ugochukwu Frank, also Francis Namani again, John Mbwe, Mwadike Na, Tino Bieze, John Mbwe, Cynthia and Kem, plenty of you, Chukwudi Joshua. Thank you all for the comments you have posted. It's quite interesting. Massive comment there, but we can't go ahead to list them one by one because we're out of time. So, Tony, we have to manage our time. A couple of things have been raised from the comments and also from the phone calls, and then somebody saying that at a point in time the media was banned from reporting the North because of terrorism going on there.
I think the person would have let us know the very point, the president at that point, so that it would also help us to dissect it. And let me put this thing. It will be for the benefit of those who listen to this program today. Nobody will tell you this. and I'm going to tell you this. There is difference between classifying an organization as a terrorist organization and enlisting an organization as a terrorist organization. They are not the same under Canadian law. One, when you say classifying an organization as a terrorist organization, it simply means a kind of a judicial or administrative determination that organization meets the criteria for terrorism or related activities under specific legal provisions. Classify means these organizations, they meet criteria for terrorism or related activities. It is purely administrative and judicial determination. That was exactly what happened in the case of APC and PDP. They were classified by the very court, and the court in question made it known that they meet criteria for terrorist organizations. Then when you talk about enlisting an organization as a terrorist organization involves formally designating it as such, as an official government list. It will be on the government list. It is a formal designation of such organization as a terrorist organization, and it falls under government list. We have Canada listed terrorist entities maintained by Public Safety Canada under the Criminal Code of Canada. You can find APC and PDC. I've found that website. In fact, before coming to this program, I went to the website. You can find APC and PDP. If you go there, you see other organizations Canada has enlisted as terrorist organization. But a court, just like I said earlier on, because this is just one of the benefits you have listening into this program. It is important because we have immigration inadmissibility under Canada's Immigration and Refugee Protection Act, IRPA, where a federal court upheld a ruling classifying APC and PDP as terrorist organizations, that they meet criteria, but they have not been enlisted, they have not been formally designated. So you have to understand the difference. So whichever way you want to understand it. And then somebody said something about Enugu State. Of course, we have universal basic education. We have it in the country, so it's expected that every state we have. It is expected every state we have free education from nursery to just SS3. That's where it stops under Universal Basic Education Act. We know it. So any state that takes further, I'm aware. I think when I say there is no free education in Enugu State, I'm looking at it from the angle that is not extended to SS3. Just as in fact, Enugu State and Abia State have the same format. It stopped at SS3. It is only in Anambra State. It is from primary down to SS3. So it is only in Anambra. In the entire Southeast, we have free education from, and somebody who says that it seems that you are loyal to Soludo. If being or speaking fact, nobody has said, Tony, you said there is free education, that Soludo that is not true. Nobody has said so. Nobody has even challenged me on any point I made about the government of Anambra State. Right. But the truth is that I said I will not join the haters. Right. I will not.
All right.
I will speak to the facts.
All right, Tony. So we have to end now because we're out of time, and we thank every one of you for following the very program. Our appreciations will always go to you for being there. My name is Franklin Ebuka. Monday, of course, we're going to be on this platform again for one day edition. But we have other programs lined up for you. Even today, as we leave, we will play better songs. And later we'll bring
and also
news.
Let them know that tomorrow we're gonna have situation room that will monitor